Rabbi Sol will be right with us in a moment or two, but here, the author of Maharishi and Me, Susan Shumsky.
Hi.
Go!
Hi. So this is my memoir. It's about my life with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. He was the guru of the Beatles and the guru of Deepak Chopra. And I spent about 22 years in his various ashrams. An ashram is a place where you go to study with a spiritual master from India. And for 6 of those years, I was on Maharishi's personal staff. So I was kind of an insider, or definitely an insider, in the inner circle of this amazing guru who is the person who introduced meditation, yoga, mantra to the West in the 20th century. When he came to the West in 1959, there was no yoga, there was no mantra, there was no meditation. These things simply did not exist at that time. Within 10 years, he made these into household words. And some of the reason why he was able to do that was because of his association with a lot of different celebrities, like the Beatles and Deepak Chopra, and, well, actually, Maharishi was an incredibly famous man in his own right.
Like me!
Absolutely, like
Rabbi
you.
Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And I am delighted to be here with Susan Shumsky, a Jewess. Hello.
Hello.
Shalom to you. Let's kick us both on.
Shalom.
And
Sabbath, so shalom.
now let's see if we can kick us both.
Saturday.
It is true. Now, how Jewish were you?
Shabbos.
Good Shabbos to you too. How Jewish were you in your upbringing? Why are we not even here? What the hell's going on? Let me fix this. God damn it! All right. I'm gonna move this. Son of a bitch! What's wrong? There we go. Okay. I'm gonna move back. There we go. Now I need to move this forward. Oh my God. Yeah, this is show business right here. Were you raised very Jewish-esque growing up?
Jewish-esque, yes. I was very Jewish-esque.
Yeah?
Yes, I was.
So, Reformed, conservative?
Reformed.
Okay, good. Did you have a bas mitzvah?
No.
Ah, damn it. All right. But, later on you discovered for you a different way, So, how much does Judaism stay with you, even though you've been doing this?
Well, I often call myself a Hindu.
A Hindu? What does that mean?
Well, seems kind of obvious. Hindu,
Not to me.
Hindu/Jew.
But
Yeah.
what parts do you keep of Judaism and what parts do you keep of the Hinduism?
Well, I don't think that a Jewish person ever really loses their kind of identity as a Jewish person, but they don't necessarily follow the religious rituals and practices.
Okay.
But they still might call themselves Jewish. But I really, I kind of call myself a Hindu.
Okay, that's fair. So are there any Jewish holidays that you...
If I happen to be around my family, I will celebrate them with them. Sure, why not?
Are your parents still...
No, they would, they
when
would
you say
probably be about 100 years old if they were still alive.
Well, when you say your family,
Yeah.
family, that would mean children, but you would have been raising them, so I figured parents, because it would be your choice how to...
Family means like my sister and her kids and
the mailman and people like that.
Yeah, like the mailman.
So, okay. So you are growing up in a semi-normal... Why do I do this? Semi-normal,
That's good.
middle-class-ish existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you go from that to being something of a hippie love child, the slut child, as in a matter of speaking?
Right. So it was the 60s.
Right.
And I was a hippie. I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area. And those of us who were hippies, or flower children, to be more specific...
Wait, is there a difference between a flower child and a hippie?
Sometimes. It depends on what their philosophy is, really. But flower children, we were more into the whole idea of make love, not war.
Oh, yeah, I'm down with that.
Also, we were into the whole idea of seeking spiritual awakening, spiritual enlightenment.
Well, I mean, I know Vietnam was going on, but was middle-class life so suffocating, so wrong, that what were you all looking for that you couldn't find in watching TV, having a nice glass of refreshing beverage, and reading a paper, putting your feet up, and studying the Torah.
Right. So, yeah, we were seeking spiritual enlightenment. At that time, there were a couple of gurus at that time. We would call them gurus. Would be Timothy Leary and Ram Dass, Richard Alpert, who later became Ram Dass.
Oh, okay.
And they wrote a book called The Psychedelic Experience. So we were exploring spiritual awakening through...
Weren't you afraid to try drugs?
Not
Didn't
at all.
that scare you?
No, not at all.
Well, tell me about, because I have never, and it's on my bucket list. Like, if I ever find a bucket with a drug in it, I might take the drug. But I've never taken a hallucinogen. Tell us either about your first experience or the scariest or most wonderful experience you've taken LSD or mushrooms or whatever.
Yeah.
Licking a frog.
I had some terrible experiences with LSD, and in fact had a mental breakdown as a result. But finally, my last LSD experience, I had a good experience.
Oh, wait,
frankly,
why? How would you, if you had a nervous breakdown, taking lysergic acid diethylamide, do you think maybe you wouldn't try it again?
You would think.
You would think. What the hell is wrong with you?
Well, I was so desperately seeking this experience of nirvana that Richard Alpert and Timothy Leary kept telling us about it, and they kept telling us turn on, tune in, drop out. So I was trying, I was experimenting like the rest of us back then. And so even though I had terrible experiences sometimes, I did have some good experiences, but eventually that led me to meditation.
Well, good. All right, but we'll get there. I promise we will get there. But,
okay.
So what did you dream? What was the most horrible nightmare you had or thing that may have made you psychotic when you took LSD?
Well, what happened was after I took the drug, I never came down from it.
Oh, okay.
And so I was walking
That's kind of
around...
like me with a pastrami sandwich. If I get a good one, I am high for days. I keep the fat on my shirt that I can still taste. Okay, continue.
So I was walking around in a drugged state for, weeks and weeks and weeks. And
weeks on one, and you never took more. It was like that one tab or whatever.
Correct. So I was continually having these what they call LSD flashbacks, and it was extremely disconcerting. I was in an altered state all the time, and it was terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, you may have never. Some people never come back. Some people, they're crazy forever from these things. Look at the Pink Floyd guy and those folks like that.
Right.
Wow, but you did.
It, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was, okay, so wow, the drugs, and you realized, hopefully, even though you did take it again, that there was something non-chemical that you could do to yourself to achieve.
Yeah, I was really seeking true meditation. I was really seeking true spiritual experiences. I was reading books like Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda.
Oh, yeah.
I was reading Buddha scriptures. I was reading The Way of Zen and other works by Alan Watts. And in the books by Alan Watts, he was saying that you have to find a meditation guide.
A person who will...
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, in 1966, in the San Francisco area, good luck looking at the yellow pages for meditation guide. I don't think so. So I asked a friend, well, how do I find this meditation guide? And he said, well, have you ever tried to just meditate on your own? And I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I lay down on my bed. How clueless was I? I didn't even know you're supposed to sit up when you meditate. I lay down on my bed and I sort of...
Oi! It's working for me, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I sort of prayed for or asked for a meditation, and immediately I was propelled into an ecstatic state. I could feel this rush or cord of energy rushing from the tips of my toes all the way to the top of my head. And I felt like I was plugged into this cosmic electric socket, but in a most ecstatic way. And so I figured, well, I guess this is meditation. Little did I know that not only did I have my first meditation experience, but also Kundalini awakening at the same time.
That's the yoga thing right there.
Right.
Well, again, there's yoga, and what's special about Kundalini?
Kundalini is
Do you have it with pasta sauce, or what is it? No.
Yeah, right.
That means, yeah.
Exactly. So Kundalini is an energy, it's a subtle energy in your body that when it's awakened, you're experiencing spiritual enlightenment or spiritual, higher states of consciousness, let's put it that way. So, yeah, this rush of energy is indicative of Kundalini awakening in the
and you just did, and this was before you had a guide, by the way, where you meditated.
This
you had
was
that
before
Kundalini, but you had this ecstatic moment,
Right.
Not a come to Maharishi moment in a manner of speaking. But then, if you were able to do that by yourself, you still felt the need or the desire to go see him. He came to California first, and then you went to India. What was the thing?
Well, I learned meditation from one of his teachers, actually.
Cool.
And then I did end up going to India in 1970, yeah.
And it was
studying with him because I wanted to become a TM teacher. So TM means Transcendental Meditation. For those of you who not familiar with Maharishi and not familiar with TM or Transcendental Meditation.
I had a BM this morning. It was good. I feel really good after a BM. I didn't know about TM.
Yeah, right.
And you, we're just gonna leave that.
It was too much information, probably, but that's okay.
But here's the deal. So he was an inscrutable kind of fellow. You were always trying to impress him in some way, and sometimes you would feel a good spirit coming from him. Other times he'd sort of not ignore you, but he'd give you kind of the shade eye. What was his deal in the early times?
Yeah. So he was a traditional Indian guru.
Okay.
And traditional Indian gurus don't act like normal people. They just don't act like people expect them to act. And in the East, in India, and in the Far East, people understand that the gurus are not going to act like you think they should. And
does that mean they're going to be rude and you just forgive them?
They could be rude. They can be.
That's a good deal.
They can be all kinds of strange things.
I would love that. I would love to get away with acting however I felt all the time. And he's a rabbi. He behaved like an asshole. That's good. That means they're on the path. No, come on. Was he ever nasty?
I wouldn't ever call him nasty. No, not nasty. No.
Nasty in bed? No, I'm kidding. What did you ever? Was there ever a no? Because that was the thing. That was the reason the Beatles left. Supposedly.
Right. One of the reasons. There are 3 reasons why the Beatles left.
Why did the Beatles leave?
Well, there's three reasons, and they were angry at him. One of the reasons had to do with a film deal that went awry.
What did that have to do with him?
Oh, well, okay. So Maharishi had promised the Beatles exclusive rights to do a film. He promised Apple Corps, which was the Beatles company, exclusive rights to do a film about him and about Transcendental Meditation.
So they wanted to make a movie about him?
Yes.
Okay.
They were going to do a movie about him, and they were talking about it when they were in India, doing this movie. But unfortunately, Maharishi had made the same promise to someone else.
Oh.
And someone else came to India with a signed contract with exclusive rights to film Maharishi for the next 5 years.
Oh, sexy Sadie. All right, so that's one reason the Beatles were...
That was one reason they what happened was, one morning, John Lennon opened his door to his bungalow, and he's like bedheaded and bleary-eyed and just woken up, and he opens the door, and what's in front of him but a cameraman and a director saying, "Action!"
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
And so this was the other film. This wasn't their film. This was some other film.
I'd be pissed off at that,
They
too.
were pretty angry about
that. So
that.
that was one reason.
Yeah.
Reason number 2?
Well, apparently Maharishi had made a pass at one of the women who was on the course.
No, we're not talking about Mia Farrow now. We're talking about...
We are not talking about Mia Farrow. We are not talking about Prudence Farrow.
Or Swingy Previn, right?
We are talking about a woman named Rosalind Bonas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Bonas gave him a boner. Did he go after her, or is that just a rumor, or what happened?
Okay, well, I believe that he went after her, yes.
Okay. I mean, he's a man.
He's a man.
He's not married to God or Vishnu or whatever,
right.
With all the respect you people believe in. But he's allowed to like girls.
Well, yeah, supposedly. But the reality was that he positioned himself as a life celibate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess if you position yourself as a life celibate, you just keep doing this. No, I'm kidding. But just pushing down there.
I hear you.
Yeah. So he was a hypocrite, and the Beatles saw through that.
Well, yeah.
Or they thought they saw through that.
Yes.
Did you, how did you feel about that? I mean, you were with him long after the Beatles left.
Yes. And he never made a pass at me. I didn't have that kind of relationship with him. And in fact, it wasn't till, I guess, around somewhere time in the 70s when I had heard about Mia Farrow, but Maharishi had made a pass at her. And then I personally knew some women that he had either made a pass at or that he had sex with.
Whoa. Okay, but also let's also be clear that we're not talking a Harvey Weinstein sort of thing where when you make a pass at a woman and she said no,
right?
It was like no,
right? No is
some of them said yes consensually.
Yes.
So
yes.
that is different from the Me Too stuff that we're having now. It's just people were calling him a hypocrite because he had this celibacy vow, and meanwhile he was
exactly
a man. Okay, but you stayed with him through that, even knowing that.
No, I didn't actually. I don't think I was really aware of it at the time. It was only upon retrospect when I looked back, and then I spoke to some of the women who actually did have sex with him.
Okay, how was? Did they say he was good? I mean, all that yoga, he should be able to be really flexible. Anybody put usually the woman puts her legs behind her head. He could put his leg behind his head and around his tuchus. Anywho, what was the third reason the Beatles left?
Okay, so it didn't come out until 2006, the third reason.
Wow.
So what happened was George Harrison, it was 1991, I believe was the date, and
yes.
George Harrison contacted Deepak Chopra, who was very, very close to Maharishi at that time.
Okay.
And he asked if he could arrange for a meeting with Maharishi. So Deepak and George went to Vlodrop, Holland, where Maharishi was living at the time. And they had a meeting, and George said to Maharishi, "I came to apologize." And Maharishi said, "For what?" And George said, "You know why." And Maharishi said, "Okay, well, tell Deepak the story." So George proceeded to tell Deepak, while they were in this meeting, that when they were in the ashram, when the Beatles were in the ashram with Maharishi in Rishikesh, India, some people in their party were taking drugs, was drinking alcohol, and that definitely was not allowed in the ashram.
In the party of the Beatles or the party of Maharishi's people?
The Beatles
yeah, well,
party.
Yeah, sure.
Some of their people. And Maharishi got angry at that. He was very unhappy about that, and he asked them to leave. And they did leave. They left in a huff.
Right. Oh, so the Beatles didn't know the whole story back then of why? They just thought the Maharishi was sending these people off for no good reason? Why were the Beatles angry at him back then? Or...
Well, why were they angry at him?
Yeah, and you said that was the third reason the Beatles took off.
Okay, the reason was that Maharishi told them to leave.
Oh, well, the entourage, not the Beatles.
No, the Beatles and...
So it was the same thing Maharishi said. Take your drugs, take your sex stuff. Most of your sex stuff. Keep some of the sex stuff here. But most of your sex stuff, the drugs, go... Oh, okay. All right. So, fair. I mean, yeah. So let me ask. You worked for...
Yes.
Maharishi for what? 2 decades, was it?
I was on his staff for 6 years.
I thought you were there for like 2 decades.
I was in his ashrams, his various places that he, his learning institutions. Mm-hmm. Those are called ashrams. I was in those for 2 decades.
Now, he has ashrams. He's living in Holland. He's got you working for him. I'm sure he has other people. Where'd the money come from?
Okay, money. All right, so people think that Maharishi was incredibly wealthy or something. I worked in finance, okay? Yeah. When I was in Switzerland, when I was on his staff, I worked in finance. And all I saw was money coming in, money going out just as fast as it was coming in. Maharishi bought a lot of properties so that he could have centers all over the world. He spent a lot of money on a lot of things.
But was that hypocritical too? All these things he never said anything anti-money, anti-capitalist,
No, he had a non-profit organization, and
so he was the CEO, essentially, of a non-profit, of a 501c3, or whatever that would be in Hindu numbers. Yeah,
I wouldn't call him a CEO, but he was the spiritual leader of this big organization, yeah. A
Okay.
501(c)(3).
And people donate, or they pay to take classes, essentially. That's where the money came from.
Yes. That money came from the retreats and classes that were taught, and also fees for learning meditation. But there was really never enough money because, most nonprofit organizations, they have a subscription.
They're grant funded
you
also.
have to, they're funded a lot. And also, you have to pay a membership fee. Well, he never charged a membership fee. So I don't know that he really did a good job in setting up his organization, because they were always having a problem with money, because they said, okay, you can learn transcendental meditation, and then for the rest of your life you get free, you can come into any TM center and get free.
It's like Weight Watchers. If you maintain, I'm not joking, if you maintain a certain weight, you hit your goal weight, as it were, which I have not yet, obviously. You're for free. You can go to the meetings for free. You get you still have to buy the magazine and buy the crap.
Okay.
But it sounds kind of similar. They probably took that idea from the Maharishi. I'm not kidding.
But the fact was, you had free instruction for the rest of your life if you went into TM centers. So unfortunately, that caused a little bit of financial problems, and after Maharishi died, they had to sell off some of the properties.
They still exist, right? It's still there?
Yeah, absolutely still exists. In fact, it's having a little bit of a revival with the David Lynch Foundation.
Oh, my goodness. The director from Twin Peaks and
Yes, him. Mulholland. So he founded this David Lynch Foundation, and a lot of celebrities are learning TM as a result of that.
Like
Katy Perry, Hugh Jackman, Cameron Diaz. There's a long, long list. As a matter of fact, in my book, this book here, Maharishi MD,
from Atria Press.
I've got it's from Skyhorse.
Oh, Skyhorse.
So
right, yeah.
It's got a list of about 250 major celebrities who have learned transcendental meditation, and you'd be really surprised at who's on that list.
Oh, who would be the most, you're kidding?
Ivanka Trump and David Kushner.
David, who is that? The brother of Jared? Who's David Kushner?
That's Ivanka's husband.
Oh, the husband, right? Oh, right. No, Jared.
Jared Kushner. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you gotta get your Jews straight.
I gotta get my Jews straight.
So, all right. So they do meditation. They do, and you, I assume, still do. How much of a day do you spend doing meditation and/or yoga?
Okay, so I don't practice transcendental meditation anymore.
Okay.
I do something that I call divine revelation, which is what I teach.
Well, because you have a God thing involved in that. What is that? What do you mean?
Well, what I teach, which is called divine revelation, is about learning how to listen to the still small voice within, our intuitive voice, which is our higher self within us.
All right. How do you do that?
By listening. By getting quiet and still. First of all, getting quiet and still.
Very difficult for me, as you can see. All right, I'm quiet, I'm still.
And then the secret of really doing that is to ask a question, ask for guidance, ask for inspiration.
You just said the number's 15. It means that. I asked, the answer is 15, apparently. don't know what the hell. No, but, so how long is it? So you'll take a moment, and how long does it take for you to go from 0 to 85, miles an hour? You say, okay, I'm taking this moment out of my day, I'm going to do divine...
10 seconds.
No, come on. I'm going to leave you alone for 10 seconds. I'll be quiet, I promise. And you're going to connect to some divine electricity.
Yes.
I'm not making fun. I am making fun, but I'm not making fun. You can really do that.
Yes.
I'm going to watch you do this. How long?
Well, there's nothing to see. It'll just be me with my eyes closed.
Oh, you're right. You close your eyes. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, no, why absolutely?
Because when your senses are focused outward, when you're using the senses outward, like the eyes, for example, your focus is in that direction, outer direction. Whereas when you close your eyes, immediately you begin to go into an inner direction.
But the moment that it happens, does something happen? Do you glow? Does something happen to your butt?
I don't think you're going to really see anything special.
But what do you feel? What happens to you in your head?
What happens to me in my head is I feel an expansive experience of divine consciousness. I feel there's inner light. There's waves of love, there's waves of bliss, there's waves of grace.
Now, when you were first looking
experience.
for that, it didn't take you 10 seconds. How long did it take you to hit the...
It didn't take me 10 seconds.
Yeah, your Godgasmic peak, as it were.
Right. So, for people just starting out with meditation, they may have one or two experiences of that during a 30-minute meditation, something like that, or 20-minute meditation. They might have one or two experiences of that expanded consciousness during that time.
Now, how is that so different from the electricity you felt when you did TM?
Okay, so TM is also a wonderful experience, and it is a method that really works. It's really powerful, and it does work. And I do recommend it to people, especially beginners, because it's so easy to practice.
A lot of times I'll try, but I can't block out the world. I'll laugh at something, I'll think of a joke, I'll think of something terrible.
Right. So the important thing to understand is that you don't need to block anything out.
Okay.
All you need to do is relax. Just get
Good
quiet.
luck. I'm Jewish. All right.
But it's easy to do that if you take deep breaths.
Really? Yeah.
Yes. If you take deep breaths, this kind of breath like... and you really let go.
Not easy.
You really let go as you're breathing out. Then you'll go into a deeper and deeper quiet state of consciousness. And I think the deep breaths are really help people to go deep into meditation.
Now, can I ask you, as you said, you worked for the Maharishi for 6 years.
I did.
Why did you stop working?
Actually, he sent me away. He told me I was too dependent on him at that time.
Okay.
He said, this was a quote from me, he said, "You're too dependent on me as a person." He said, "I won't always be here." Because I was very devoted to him, I was very dependent on him, and he really felt that I was too dependent on him. So he said, "Get thee hence." He said.
Do you have any funny, cute Maharishi anecdote stories? I mean, you worked with him. You must have seen him almost every day, talked with him when he became less inscrutable and more like just, your boss. Any cool Maharishi stories?
Well, he was such a... Okay. So his philosophy was that you could help a person to become stronger or to develop themselves more in many different ways, spiritually, but also even in practical ways, if you kind of push people to their limit. So, for example, there was one guy, and he was at the ashram. He was trying to build some, he was trying to make heat go into the very primitive dwellings that in the ashram. So he was...
really, like with pipes and things.
With pipes.
With
pipes. The idea was that they would boil water and then the pipes would bring steam into the rooms. So he had some facility and he knew how to do that. So Maharishi assigned him to do that. But after he did that, and then he was, during the process, he was like, he had already made holes in the wall to make the pipes come in and everything. And Maharishi goes in back of the buildings and he's telling the guy, okay, well, we should move the pipes this way and move them that way and they should come like this. And he would keep telling the guy to do it over and over and over and change it all the time.
Yeah, you can't do feng shui with heating implements.
So the guy, really, it was his last straw. He really... When Maharishi was just pushing him to his limit, he trotted up the path to the dining room, to the smoker's dining room. There were 3 dining rooms. One was silent dining room, one was just regular dining room, one was smoker's dining room. So he went to the smoker's dining room and he yelled. He grabbed the first guy he could see. He said, "Give me a fag! Give me a fag, mate! This guy's driving me nuts! Give me a fag!"
Fag meaning cigarette, by the way. It's a different time and era. Yeah. Unless, hey,
he
maybe.
was British.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the kind of experience that all of us who worked for him had. In other words, he would, for example, he had me drawing this painting that is in the book. Oh. You can see a picture of it in the book.
Talk about it.
And he had me do this drawing, and then he had me change it, and then change it again, and then change it again. And change it again, this one here. And I kept doing the drawing over and over and over again, this one here. until finally it became kind of a good drawing.
Yeah.
And in fact, I got kind of good at doing drawing and painting as a result of it. So he was really pushing me to my creative limit by telling me to do things over and over and over. But this is the type of thing that gurus do in India. It's traditional. There's this ancient story about a saint named Milarepa, and his guru was Marpa, and it was a Tibetan Buddhist monk.
Okay.
And in that story, the guru kept telling the disciple to build these various houses of different shapes. And he would have him build a house, and then when he was done building the house, he made him take every brick and every dirt, everything, and put it back in its original
That's
place.
sadism. That is not learning anything. That's just cruelty in the name of, I don't know. Do you get that?
Well, it is believed in India that this is the way that gurus help their disciples to burn off karma. And what that means is that the person, by the guru doing, I know this is a very strange concept, but I'll try to explain
Sure,
it.
yeah.
So the idea is that a person has done something in their past, maybe past lives or past this life, and that person is has consequences of those actions. And the law of karma states that in the future, you'll have a consequence from whatever action you did in the past.
Fine. Okay. That's
Okay,
a nice
so-
way of keeping people not killing each other on Earth.
Exactly. So that's the idea of karma, the law of karma. So it's believed in India and in Tibet and other places in the Far East that it's possible for a guru to ameliorate the effects of karma for a disciple by doing something to the disciple, by having the disciple do strange things, or by even maybe getting mad at the disciple or making the disciple doing something to the disciple that will that the consequence of that would be that in the future the disciple has less of this karmic consequence in their life.
With all due respect, this is already
that's the
bordering
idea.
on to me horseshit.
Right,
why
sure.
not tell a disciple, oh, you want good karma? Go feed people. Go. You want to build a building? Build a homeless
that
shelter
too,
and leave
yeah.
it. Let it be
That
there so
too.
homeless people can live in it.
Too.
Sorry, I'm just, this already is pushing. But it's not what you do. You help people now
Right.
in getting in touch and doing the divine revelation things. How do people get in touch with you?
Oh, okay. My website is drsusan.org. That's simple enough.
Dr. Susan. I'm glad you got that website.
Yeah.
That was a good one that you latched onto for the URL. drsusan.org.
Correct.
And like the kind of things that you would teach, they would go to for like 12 lessons or a lifelong. What do you offer?
Mainly, most of the things people can learn from my books. It's really not that hard to learn everything
What are some
I
of
teach
your
in
other
my
book
books.
titles? If you
Okay, my books are, I have 14 books in print.
Gewalt. Yeah, Mazel Tov.
So Divine Revelation is one of the books. Awaken Your Divine Intuition is another one. A Miracle Prayer.
Oh, I like that. A miracle prayer. Okay.
Instant Healing. Ascension.
Instant healing? Mm-hmm. Okay. Like my good friend Dave, I've been suffering with back trouble for about 3 weeks now. I wake up in the morning, I can barely stand. Heal me. Or teach me to heal myself.
Yeah, it's more about teaching you to heal yourself.
All right, teach me to heal my back. I also have a boo-boo on my finger. Look at that hurts.
Yeah.
And I caught that on opening a coffee can the other day. So, can I heal this?
It's going to heal itself anyway. I mean,
Well, yeah. A good answer. Come on.
that's the truth.
All right, well, what about the back here, which will also eventually heal itself?
So the problem with the back is that you don't feel you have enough support in your life.
Ooh. So it's a mental thing as much
It's a
as
mental thing. A lot of problems that we have in our lives are based upon mental problems or mental causes.
All right.
So you can change those through doing specific affirmations that I teach in that specific book. Instant Healing is really great for that.
So it's like, I am loved, I am supported.
Right.
The world,
Those
the
types
universe
of
likes me.
Yeah, those types of affirmations can help you with your problem with your lower back.
What is your favorite daily affirmation?
I am in control. I am the only authority in my life. I am divinely protected by the light of my being. I close off my aura and body of light to the lower astral levels of mind, and I open to the spiritual world. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Oh, that's not... But the thing is, you keep coming back to God, so you are a theist.
Yes.
Was Maharishi a theist?
Yes. Yes, he was a theist. He believed in God, definitely.
And his conception of God, though, was it the same as Old and New Testament, or was it just Supreme Being?
Okay.
Or
His conception of God had two aspects. One is the absolute, which is basically the same God that's worshipped in Judaism, for example.
Right, yeah.
The idea of the impersonal God that is absolute, that is unbounded, unlimited, was never born, never dies.
Cranky sometimes.
Has no boundaries. No, it's not cranky. So that
Judaism has a cranky God.
Well, that's the other aspect of God, the personal aspect of God.
Oh.
So Maharishi believed in two aspects of God: that absolute Sat Chit Ananda, absolute bliss consciousness, and he also believed in the personal aspect or aspects of God. And in Judaism, they believe in a personal aspect of God as well.
So that you have a personal connection, as it were.
Personal
He
connection.
doesn't talk to... Well,
Personal connection.
do you talk to... When you have these divine revelations, does God talk to you? Or you just have sort of a feeling?
Okay, it's actually, I get three ways. That
Always with a number. 2 of this, 3 of that, 4 of that. It's like a Chinese restaurant here. All right.
There's 3 ways.
Yeah.
Clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience, meaning getting visions,
Uh-huh.
hearing an inner voice, which means words coming
Not
to me.
psychosis, but inner voice of words.
Inner voice.
Yeah.
And the third one is inner feelings, like gut feelings.
Oh, so you trust your gut. If something
Right.
something tells you.
Intuition. Yeah. So in my opinion, I believe that intuition is the divine voice speaking to us.
Oh, okay. And so 90-something% of the time when you listen to your gut and it's the right choice, you think?
Yes, it is.
That's not a joke. I'm saying when you trust your judgment when you have to make a big choice or something, and you listen.
I listen.
And
I always listen whenever I have to make any kind of choice, especially major choices. I go into meditation and I actually ask, and I receive guidance.
Sounds good. I mean, there are things I make fun of, and there are other things that sound like, that's a reasonable way to live your life and to connect with whatever is out there. Do you have you mentioned your family. Do you have kids? Do you have a...
No, I've never had kids.
Because I wonder how
I've
you
never been married.
Oh, wow. Not that matters, but do you see that... Are you glad about that, or do you sort of wish...
I'm very glad about that.
Even the kids part, even though...
Yes. I've never, even as a child, I never had a desire to have kids.
And yet you help so many people. Maybe that's where that energy...
Yeah, I mean, my books are my kids.
Among the books are the ones that you mentioned just before with all the names. Tell them again. First of all, they can get them at drsusan.org, right?
They should just go to Amazon to get the books.
Get them on
Less
Amazon.
expensive. It takes less time to get them.
All right. Amazon, look for Dr. Susan Shumsky, SHUMSKY, for the many books she's mentioned, and this most recent one, let me put it right between us there, Maharishi and Me, which is published by Skyhorse Publishing. So SP, it's not like a vanity thing. This is a real book thing, Maharishi and Me. The subtitle, Seeking Enlightenment with the Beatles Guru. Last question before I let you go. So, do you think, God willing, you still have maybe 20, 30 years left on this planet, yeah? Do you think you'll stay with divine revelation, or is there another step? Is there another meditation thing, another connection thing that you're looking for even beyond?
I'm not really seeking another method or anything like that. I could, of course, can have deeper and greater experiences with meditation and with getting closer to that divine presence. on a daily basis, maybe more of the day, feeling that connection, feeling that wholeness, that oneness, that divine love. I think probably the most important thing to me is to experience that connection as much as possible. So,
Well,
and to help others experience it. That's my mission. My goal is to help people to have that experience.
Well, you've heard it. You'll be reading it from Dr. Susan Shumsky. I'm delighted to have had this connection with you here in the neighborhood today. It only remains for me, Rabbi Sol Solomon, to wish you more divine revelations, more joy, more connection with the universe, and health and good times too. Good things. And I will still say, a good pastrami sandwich. Meditation's fine, all of that's good, but that good pastrami sandwich. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And shalom to you.
Shalom to you.
I'm going to go see her out. You go talk to yourself. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back.